Hello there everyone, welcome back to Alfa Romeo, or rather Around the Grid, which it actually is. Today we are going to be aiming at finishing this season. We have a few races remaining, 6 on the docket. We'll get all of these done today. We have a few sprints here to do as well, so technically 3 sprints, 6 races. We'll get through all of them today and we'll get everything kind of prepped. Well, not really fully prepped. We'll get everything set up to start with a second team next time around. So currently, we are leading the championship. We are, well, healthily, I dare say, leading the championship. We have both drivers, first and second. Alonso has been fairly unlucky, which is why he's behind Bottas by almost 50 points. But we'll have to see if he can make some sort of comeback. But basically, I'll allow these two to fight it out for the rest of the season, which shouldn't be an issue. And honestly, it should be fairly straightforward and alright. We do have some damage to one of the cars. We'll just replace that. We'll get new components made. It's not really a big deal. And honestly, we shouldn't have any issues with this season. For the most part, it will be going by fairly quick, I dare say. And we'll be focusing on, getting prepped for next season. Now, in terms of who we're going to be playing next season, it's kind of a coin toss at the moment. There is, as I said, 6 races, 3 sprints. 1 point between Haas and AlphaTauri. So most likely we're going to be playing one of those, which are unfortunately the teams that I'm already playing. But that shouldn't really be a big problem. So with that said, we do have a chunk of money here, 80 million, that we'll be leaving with whoever, takes over the team next. We do need to deal with Perone here. We might just extend his contract for Alfa Romeo. Probably would be the best thing to do to just make things a little bit easier. I would like to snatch him with me to the next team, of course, but I believe I have to renew this contract before I can pick a new team. So we'll just give him a little bit of a promotion, a year-long contract, 250,000 increase in money, and I would hope that should be enough. It is, and we'll go ahead and renew that contract because, again, not our problem next year. For the most part, I will keep the staff that we, have been using when I take over a new team. Maybe make some changes in the second season, but we'll see. Depends on how quickly we can develop. Now, I believe I talked about this a little bit earlier, but the settings here, and particularly the car development and race, I think we're just going to keep them on standard. But I think after this season, we're going to go ahead and kind of make a vote, maybe, or rather you can actually say in the comments, let me know if you want me to tune this up to hard, or if you think that this series would benefit from keeping things standard. We might tune race difficulty up to hard, keep the car development at standard, medium, but we'll have to see. It is hard to decide. Now, as I said, we do have a fairly dominant car this year. We can actually have a quick look at that again. And because of that, most of the races are probably just going to be, a summary rather than anything else. Currently, we're the third best in DRS, low speed, first to medium and high speed. So again, we have a very good cornering car. It is what I usually focus on. Is this really effective? We are the slowest in terms of top speed, but we make up for that in, getting quickly through the corners. We're not good at following. We have decent cooling. So honestly, the car is good enough for what we want it to be. But as I said, we'll jump into Qatar. We'll keep on researching here. Bottas loses some performance here. He drops 2 points of accuracy, 2 points of reactions, a point. No, sorry, 2 points. He might actually drop 2 overall here, almost. I don't get how he gets a performance loss, though. The man is literally dominating. Like, I understand if he was underperforming, but he is 35 years old, and his teammate is 43 years old, so I feel like they might be dropping off a little bit too soon. Like, if he was driving a more back-market car and can't outperform the car, basically just get bad result after bad result, I can understand that, but it is a balancing thing. I understand why it is the way it is, so I probably shouldn't complain too much, honestly. Now, with that said, we have a underfloor research completed. We might as well have a look at what we already done. The chassis is caught up. The front wing is caught up. The rear wing is caught up. Side pods need a little bit of work. Underfloor. probably almost got out now, although we could probably put in a little bit more work. So the only thing we really need to work on here are side pods and underfloor for next year. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. I believe I actually finished the research last time around, but I, in my infinite wisdom, did not start a new one. And as you can see here, we have a 5% hit to everything. So we'll just do basic research here for both the underfloor and the side pods, which is what we're lacking. It's pretty straightforward. Might as well just get everything, you know, done. Get away from loss of stats, and then we can focus a little bit more after that. But now, though, we're going to jump into Qatar here. We'll see if we can, you know, get the performance we are hoping for. And basically finish this season on a positive note before we go into what potentially should be more of a struggle. So let's jump to Qatar, see how we perform, and if Alonso ends up catching Bottas a little bit. The sprint finished without any problems at all. We did another 1-2, no real problems at all. So yeah, pretty straightforward, no problems. Sainz, Tsunoda, and a bunch of others down here are going to take penalties. But the Red Bulls are on our tail, same with the Ferraris and the Mercs, and Tsunoda snatched a, well, almost snatched a point here. With that said, though, we'll jump straight into the race, and just once again, a little bit of a heads up here. Lusail has a tendency to be fairly hot, so what you usually see if you have a driver that is, say, 80, even 85 for that matter in smoothness, is that even if this tells you that, oh, I can push like this, you're probably going to be losing 2 or 3 laps to degradation. So make sure that you take that into account when you plan strategies around here, because degradation is, as I said, fairly extreme. So the race has begun. We have a virtual safety car. Show has crashed on turn 2. You can have a look at that. Not the worst hit, but still gonna take him out of the race, I think. The question now is, do we actually pit? And again, it's 17 seconds. We've saved 6 seconds by pitting now. We probably would benefit from it because we are running a fairly aggressive strategy, and I can imagine that some of these other cars are going to be pitting. For Alonso, it is definitely worth it. He'll come out, you know, between Russell and Albon, most likely. For Bottas, it's going to be a bit more problematic. If he hits the 17 seconds, he is going to be coming out back here, which is a little bit further back. There are also DRS trains, which is going to make that even more painful. But it also does kind of compromise the strategy. We're doing a very aggressive 3-stopper. So if we go into the hards here, we can still probably push them, but we're probably going to have to run the mediums aggressive. Same here for the softs. And I think, honestly, that is the better play here. That is going to be the strategy for Alonso. We're going to put him onto the alternate one and just get him in early. It's going to probably suck a bit, honestly, pitting this early for, you know, several reasons, particularly the overtaking ones. But I think it shouldn't be too much of a problem to get these things done. And we could probably also just gamble in getting Bottas in. There is enough of a gap, and it'll make it a little bit more interesting on working our way forward. So we'll go ahead and pit both of them here. We're saving 6 seconds, which isn't a lot, honestly. But it should be just about enough that it is kind of worth it. We'll see if Verstappen ends up pitting as well. He stays out. Maybe some of the soft runners will pit. Albon pits. Clean pit stop there from Alonso. He should come out just behind. Oh, just ahead of Russell. That's fine. Bottas, though, is going to have a little bit of a struggle here, particularly with the now DRS train that he has become a part of. But we'll try and move both cars forwards. Alonso should have a fairly easy task here. Just overtake Stroll with DRS. Then probably use energy to get Leclerc and Perez, and then just chase down Verstappen. So we'll see if this plays into our hands or if this is going to backfire horribly. But should be fine. A lot of cars are getting, you know, more wear on the tires. And it does put us on an offset in terms of pit stops. So this should be decent unless we hit a red flag. We're currently getting towards that second pit stop, and I think what we're going to do here is just do 2 mediums on full attack. Degradation has been as we expected. It's actually been slightly lower on the hards than we anticipated, and that makes life a little bit easier. So we're going to be pitting both Bottas and Alonso on this lap. We'll be getting onto a medium tire. Bottas is going to fall potentially behind Leclerc, but as you can see here for Alonso, he should be able to safely come out ahead of Verstappen, so he's actually in a really, really good position. And that does benefit us. Now, in terms of what we're going to do going forwards, it's probably, as I said here, double medium. We should have more than enough push to make that a viable option. Bit of a slower pit stop there for Alonso, and as you see, even Bottas did beat Verstappen out. So this should now just be a pretty smooth sailing expedition, so to speak, till the end of the race, unless, well, Bottas here gets into some trouble trying to leave Verstappen behind. But if we deploy, I think the turns we have left here should be enough to just create that gap that we need, maybe, to get away. He is on an older hard tire, so should probably start pushing a little bit earlier, but if we push for one more lap, that should be enough that Bottas pulls away from the DRS zone of Verstappen. Now, there is some concern that I prefer to just use DRS battle assist. It is true that you lose a little bit of time, but generally your drivers won't actually recharge when they're too close to another driver. So it's usually fine to just leave that on. Generally, you will be losing a little bit of time, but that is, again, just because your drivers will take the opportunities when they arrive to harvest. So I do, enjoy leaving it on. Once they're full power, they should not be harvesting anymore. So it's not really a huge negative. But now though, we'll just speed things along here, get to that next pit stop, and see where we're at once we get closer till the end. The race has reached its conclusion. Alonso wins, Bottas second. Then we have Verstappen, Perez, then the two Ferraris, and Albon here in the points. So good race for Williams, decent race for Stroll. Merckx finished in, I guess, an okay position, but honestly, I would assume they would have preferred a little bit of a better showing. But yeah, pretty straightforward with Sale here. No incidents except for that virtual safety car, and pretty decent. This also does give Alonso a little bit more points now. He gains 8 points back on Bottas, so if he keeps this going, we could still potentially have a bit of an interesting fight here this time around. Although Bottas beat him in the sprint, get another point over him there, so just gained 7 points. So is it going to be difficult? Probably, but if he can keep on getting 8 points for, say, the remaining 5 races, that would be 40 points. Puts him a couple of points behind. So we'll have to see here. If Alonso has a perfect end to the season, where he wins the sprints, Bottas is P2, Alonso gets every fastest lap, then it still is viable that they might actually end up drawing. So that would be a tad interesting. But yeah, even with a bit of a slow pit stop here, Alonso managed to eke out a win. We'll take that, and we'll immediately head to the next sprint in Austin. Bench manufacture complete. I believe we need to have a little bit of a look at our car parts here. Failed chassis, failed front wing. We'll just replace those quick. And I do need to manufacture more front wings, but I want to have a look at the warehouse, how many we have first. We have 4, so it's not really something we need to rush about. Rather, rushing with a rear wing is probably for the best. Side pods are looking good. Let's just get a chassis underway because they take a long time to make. And we can actually also go ahead and manufacture those 2 front wings. Well, that should be us, for the most part, caught up on parts, which is great. Driver media appearance, yeah, we're going to deny that one. It goes beyond the limit, which is 23. So we'll say no thank you. Apparently, I guess we took the month there. The game was slightly laggy. It happens. Car development report. Still looking good. We still suck at dirty air cornering, but honestly, we run at the front for the most of the parts, so it's not really a concern. And looks like Bottas here regained some of the stats he lost. That's the only way I can read this driver development update, because remember, he got hit with a performance loss, a point of cornering and braking, but it's still the same. So yeah, definitely something weird going on there. So he definitely made that back, but he still ended up losing some points this month, which is probably a good thing for good old Alonso. Pit crew training, we'll have a look at that. We are going to be hired for the most part, so I think what we're going to do here is very simply just work on the error chance, put in a couple of drills here, as long as we don't go into, 10% before the race weekend. That should be fine. So I'm going to quickly set up the pit crew training here. So here we are. This is what we're opting for. It's not really a huge gain or anything like that. The 25% here is misleading because, well, we are weary currently. And, well, we're going to be losing a lot of that from just going down to tired. So you can imagine that the 24%, it's probably even less than 0.2, 0.3%. But it is a little bit of points gain here, which is always nice. We'll lose a little bit of estimated pit stop time, but again, the aero chance is going to be more important for us. So that is a-okay. Rear wing has been manufactured. This should be, I assume, the front wings, and it is. And this might be the chassis, so that should be us all caught up on parts again. And we'll be heading into Qatar right away. Again, it's another sprint weekend. And unless we have interest on the track, you know, we'll have a... That is the wrong setting. One driver top 3. Unless we have some shenanigans on track, we'll probably not be showing too much of races like we did last time. And I'll be doing that for this episode in particular, because we'll be aiming at finishing the season. So let's jump into Qatar, see how we perform. A pretty interesting quali here for... the United States Grand Prix, Austin, Qatar. As you can see here from Bottas in first to Alonso in fourth, it is just 35 hundredths of a difference and just 1,000 difference here for Verstappen. He's taking a penalty there for the race. But honestly here, we might actually consider taking some penalties ourselves. And the reason for this is incredibly simple. We probably will not be able to make this engine last till the end of the season. That is just a fact. We have... well, 2 sprints, 5 races. If it takes about 5% each from those, it's just not going to survive. But honestly, we don't need to take it from my financial standpoint. But it's the same here for Alonso. The engine isn't something we really need to worry too much about. The ERS is going to be a different issue. I don't think that one is going to survive. And it's kind of the same here for Alonso. Alonso also only has 1 gearbox, so... I am considering taking some penalties here. It is a decent place to get overtakes done. But if we take penalties, it's going to be after the sprint. So we'll go ahead and see how we perform during the sprint race itself. If it goes well, maybe we'll delay the penalties, but... excuse me. But Qatar isn't the worst place ever to eat penalties if we have to. We've had a bit of an incident here. Bottas has locked up. He's currently parked on the side of the road, which is gonna not benefit him. Let's put it like that. It's really not gonna help. But we'll see how it goes. In terms of tires, he did waste a bit, but he should still be fine. The main problem right now is the fact that he's down into 10th. Luckily for him, though, this is the sprint rather than the race weekend itself, so he should be somewhat alright still. But it's still not great. Multiple cars crashed. I think I saw Tsunoda off the track there, so I'm wondering if he was involved since we've jumped a couple of places. So, yeah, Leclerc and Tsunoda, I assume. Yep, looks like it. And there is Bottas coming through and just taking the benefit of that Tsunoda-Leclerc incident. So, a little bit of an interesting start here to the sprint. Alonso should be fine out front. We've had another incident. I assume someone maybe ran into Leclerc again. Does look like it. So Leclerc is static, and the Haas just runs into the back of him. I'm wondering who's going to get the penalty for that one, honestly. But yeah, a little bit of an interesting final here to the sprint. Just 1 lap to go. Bottas should be alright. Albon, Leclerc. Okay, so it was Albon, not Tsunoda. That was my bad. Should recognize that 23. I'm bad with numbers. No penalties for that one. And for Alonso here, we're going to have him deploy, of course. And for Bottas, we can't really do anything. It's going to be very dependent on luck. But yeah, this does kind of, you know, spark the championship a little bit again. I think what's going to happen is that we are not going to be taking penalties for Alonso this weekend. But potentially we'll be taking them for Bottas, since he's starting 8th anyways. Well, he could start higher up. Depends on the penalties people are suffering. But yeah. Unfortunate lockup there for Bottas. Does throw a wrench into the championship fight. but he still has a healthy lead, so I wouldn't be too concerned. As you can see, Verstappen and Russell are both taking penalties. But as I said, I think what we're going to do here to keep the championship a little bit more alive and keep things a little bit more exciting is that we're going to very simply here take the penalties for Bottas. And as I said, I think we're going to need a new set. Now, this engine will probably make it till the end of the year, don't get me wrong. But for the last couple of races, we're probably going to hit that 50% mark. And the main concern also is that this practice engine might wear out before the final race. Because, let's remind you, we have 5 races, including this one, and a sprint. So, 5 1/3 of a race. So, it could work. It's going to be close, though. So, what I'm thinking is that we're going to take penalties for both drivers at one point. Just give them a full set again. Full set, 8.5 million for each of them. Although, I think Bottas is going to be fine with this gearbox. But let's face it, we have a lot of cost cap to go on. In this case, 26 million. So we don't have that as much as I thought. So if we buy 8, 16, 10 million for research, I think that's fine. Because we're still going to be able to get a decent chunk of research going into the Alfa Romeo next year team. They'll still have a very dominant car. So I think it's fine that we take the penalties here. And we are just going to eat a full set of penalties. Take it here. And honestly, I am thinking that this might be a little bit on the, doom side, if you will. Probably didn't need that ERS, to be fair. But I think it's just better to be safe than sorry. He didn't have the best position anyways. I think he'll make it back up, that's the thing. I think he'll still be able to come second. And for Alonso here, because of the fact that he is starting front line, will not feed him any penalties. Even starting 6th isn't bad. So honestly, probably, not the most rational of penalties I've ever taken, to be fair. But it should keep things a little bit more interesting towards the end of this season, and that's kind of what I'm banking on. Now, we are going to be doing different strategies. Because Bottas is starting far back, we want to take advantage of that, in a sense, by having him go for a strategy where he starts on the softs. He's going to be pushing as much as he can for the first 10 laps. Then we're going to pit him. He should be getting some fresh air. And then he can use that fresh air to get some overtakes done. So we might actually switch around the medium and the hard stint here. We'll have to see exactly how big the gap is after those 10 laps. But I think this is a decent enough strategy. And as I said, we will be taking penalties for Alonso too at one point to kind of balance it out. So we have Mexico, we have Brazil, we have Las Vegas, and we have Abu Dhabi after this. So probably just going to have to take eat the penalties at Mexico, I think, for Alonso. So the more I think about it, the more I realize I've probably made a horrible decision. But we'll see how it goes. Now though, we're going to go through the coda, and we'll see how we perform. Let's just have a quick look here at the race start. We can see our man Bottas back there. So we're still going to use rally defend and low risk taking. And the reason for this is, again, you don't really lose much in terms of overtaking opportunity, but you save so much in terms of not crashing 24/7. That is very helpful. Looks like Bottas didn't have the best start here. He's already half a second behind the AlphaTauris. But yeah, the goal is going to be very simple. Get Bottas up as high as we can. Keep Alonso in first, and we'll see where we're at once we get closer to the end. We've had a minor incident between Sainz and Paris. A little bit of wheel banging there, but still, that is definitely unfortunate for Paris. Probably pushed him pretty far down the grid. He's down to 12th. Bottas doing well, though. He's up into 14, so he's definitely getting things done. Sainz elected to pit. I assume he had wheel damage. Rather tire damage, I should say. And Alonso there running in first. Pretty healthy ahead. Tsunoda up in a podium position. So this looks like it could be a fairly interesting race. After the first set of pit stops there, it's actually looking really good. Bottas did do his pit stop. He got about 10 seconds at the back of the grid that he could work with. And as you can see, he is currently up into second. He doesn't have much of a gap though, so when he pits again, he's definitely going to be falling pretty far back down. So probably should have gone for the hard tires, but it is what it is. We'll just have to live with that decision. Alonso, on the, well, fairly fresh hards here, is running out in front with a fairly healthy lead over Verstappen. They're on soft tires though, so we'll probably end up pitting around the same time. So Alonso here looking really good. We'll have to see exactly how Bottas is going to handle, well, pitting now, because he's theoreticized to come out in 10th, which honestly I agree with here. But if he gets a little bit of fresh air there too, that would actually be nice. So, got some of the work done here. Sainz still needs to pit. Ocon should pit fairly soon, but the rest of them he's going to just have to drive by. So, shame that it's a bit of DRS train, but we'll work our way through it. Shouldn't be too difficult. We've had another incident. Minor, well, multiple cars crashed. Yellow flag in this case. Once again, it is Leclerc. And taps the Alpine a little bit. Both cars keep going though, so no big deal. But that is definitely not what you'd like to see. So, Bottas here, up into 6th, done well. We have Russell in 5th, but I think, as I said, he'll be able to catch Verstappen by the end of this. He should only have one more pit stop to do, same as, well, everyone else around us. And as we can see, Verstappen, Norris, Tsunoda, Russell, all of them are going to be pitting fairly soon. We can even see Tsunoda pitting right now. So again, should be pretty simple business here to just drive through. And Alonso too will need to pit, well, before too long, but we might just stretch him a little bit, maybe go on softs as that final stint. Bottas is currently doing his final pit stop. He's in 2nd, has a bit of a gap between Verstappen, so he shouldn't be coming too far up behind, maybe between Verstappen and Tsunoda, or worst case scenario behind, well, Tsunoda. But yeah, as you can see, he slots into 3rd. He's done with all his pit stops. Same can be said for Verstappen, though, so it is a bit of an interesting one. But just 3 seconds should be no problem for Bottas to get that done. And we are going to be pitting Alonso again, but he has 23 seconds now to Verstappen. So with the pit stops here taking just 21 seconds, you can see that he's actually somewhat clear unless he has an incident. So Alonso is looking good. And again, the plan here is just to put him onto a soft tire, make sure that we get that fastest lap, and even with the penalties that we have eaten here, unless Bottas does something silly, we have no problem doing a last to first here at Qatar, and it should be pretty much the same at Mexico. So, unsurprisingly, Alonso did win. Bottas 10 seconds behind, also got fastest lap. Then we have Verstappen, then Norris, and Tsunoda. So, Tsunoda's doing great in the Williams. Unfortunate here for basically everyone else. But we will take that. Decent showing from our team. Now, this weekend, Alonso did get a bunch of points on Bottas. There's just no way around that. But the thing here is we're probably going to end up taking penalties for Alonso as well. So we can basically say that this shift is going to turn backwards. And next time around, potentially, Bottas is going to increase this by, say, 6 points again. Potentially. So we'll have to see exactly how that plays out. It's going to be probably still a little bit of a close fight here. But Alonso is going to need a bad performance from Bottas at one point in order to snatch the championship, I do believe. Because as I said, currently there is, 27 points between them? And Bottas is probably going to extend that by 6 points next race at the very least. So maybe even 7. So 33 points, 3 races to go, 1 sprint. That's going to be a little bit too much, even if you secure that maximum 8-point difference, plus that extra point from the sprint, plus the extra points from fastest laps. It's just going to be slightly out of reach. So the only thing that Alonso can really hope for here in this case is going to be a mistake from Bottas. That's basically it. If we take the penalties like we did, which I think we will do. Now, again, I do say that the engine would probably make it, so taking the penalties probably isn't the wisest choice. But I still think it's a choice that will make this a little bit more interesting in terms of the fight, so to speak. And as you can see, Bottas didn't actually use as much engine, ERS, and gearbox as I anticipated from this race. He only used 3.7%. So, yeah, he used far less than I expected. So, potentially, might just gamble on Alonso not needing to. But at the same time, that runs another risk, and that risk would be the fact that, Bottas now has a fresh engine, he has now fresh car parts, and he can then use those parts to, dominate a little bit more than anticipated. So the cost cap remaining is 19 millions after the season. We're going to spend about 8.5 on Alonso, I think, just to put them on the same kind of footing. And with that, we'll use the rest, of course, for research. So the current research that we just finished was a front wing research. I think we're just going to do another one. Front wing isn't a bad thing to research. And we don't have CFD wind tunnel hours. I tend to sometimes forget this, so I've started double checking. But we'll just do another regular one. The front wing is a good thing to focus on, so we'll allow that to just go through. Now, with that said, we have the Mexican GP in 4 days, although I should probably get the new parts into production. Chassis are good, the front wings are good, the rear wing need one more of those. Side posts are good, underfloor need one more of those. Suspension, good. So yeah, we are ready to jump into the next race weekend here, Mexico. As I said, we're probably going to take penalties for Alonso. It's just how things are going to have to be in order to make sure that we make it till the end. But with the high... I've been playing weaker teams lately, so the high amount of cooling we have is probably a little bit more effective than I anticipated. And I might have had a little bit of a more of a negative outlook on if the tires would make it. We're also going to have a rainy race on Sunday, so potentially taking a penalty for Alonso is not going to be the play. We might delay that depending on when the rain strikes. So with that said, let's jump into Mexico and hopefully we'll have a good race. The rain that we expect for Mexico is incredibly weird. It's just going to be a very short shower, as you can see. So I'm wondering if we do want to take the penalties here for Alonso. He is starting second, so potentially that could be a horrible idea. But with the rain here, it is somewhat easy to overtake. It's not horrible. We also want to try and avoid the hards if we can. But yeah, I'm thinking that what we do is potentially go on to... Is that going to work? Just about. It's going to be risky. Yeah, it's going to be somewhat risky to run a soft tire full aggressive, but it should be fine. I think that we do take penalties here, and mainly the engine penalty, because again, I don't think this one is going to last till the end. I'm probably being a little bit too negative on this fact. I think Bottas would have been fine. Maybe we just need to take penalties for Alonso. But we are going to just do what I initially planned and just equalize them somewhat. I think that's going to be okay. ERS-wise, he might have been fine as well, but we'll just go ahead and be completely safe. Again, gearbox could also be okay, but I'm just playing the devil's advocate and being safe. Again, it's probably a mistake. Probably could have made through without needing to do this, in all honesty. But I think we're just going to do this to be on the safe side. I think we would have just made it through with probably just 5% left to spare before it hit yellow, which would still be fine. But again, we'll just do it like this because I've already done the mistake with Bottas. We'll do the same with Alonso, equal them out. And we'll get into this race and we'll see if we can, you know, get a good performance and get Alonso back up into second, maybe even catch Bottas. Although I severely doubt that unless Bottas makes a mistake. Let's see how it goes. The rain has arrived, but we have a somewhat small issue here in the fact that it arrived extremely late. We thought it would arrive around lap 15. We're now on lap 20 and we just barely have water on the track, and that's going to remain a fact for at least a few more laps. So it's not looking great. We're just going to have to live with the fact that tires are shredded. It's going to be the same for Bottas. The others took better care of the tires than we did, which is of course a negative thing, let's be honest. But there's nothing we really can do about it at this point. We also push fuel quite aggressively here, so we're going to have to recharge that towards the end of the race. Now, as you can see here, the water is still not going up, so we're going to have to wait 4 more laps. So even now, it's not looking very good. We could potentially end up with a puncture here, which it would suck massively. But honestly, there's nothing we really can do at this point. Pushed a little bit too hard. So for now, we'll wait until the water starts pushed, you know, for real, and then we'll pit. But yeah, Bottas is losing to the cars behind. Alonso is losing to the cars ahead. But we're just gonna have to tough it out, lose these seconds that we are, you know, as punishment for pushing too aggressively. There's nothing we really can do about it. We're just gonna have to tough it out. Now, a lot of cars are actually pitting right now, so we probably should have gotten Alonso in too. But I'm actually fine with staying out an extra lap if it means that we do not end up in a position where we you know, eat dirt because of the fact that we get stuck in the pit stops. So, honestly, this is fine by me. Wood is finally reaching the 1mm mark. A full millimeter, that is. We also have a puncture here for Alonso. That's going to be tragic. So yeah, we definitely did... We did do a bad strategy call here. That's going to make his race a lot harder, but there's nothing really can do about it. Bottas is out in first. That shouldn't be much of a surprise here. Alonso is losing a couple of positions due to that puncture. But I still think we have a good chance of making our way back here. But the main question is going to be the strategy that we choose after getting back into potentially the points there. Doing what we did here was potentially not the best strategy that we could have put out, let's be honest. And we want to figure out, can we run full attack after it stops raining on a hard tires? We can. Can we use a medium and a soft to get a better result than running the hard tire? Potentially we can here, I think. So it's gonna depend. Yeah, this is potentially gonna be quicker. So we might do this for Alonso. We'll have to see what we have available to us. And of course, we're still gonna keep on trying to get him forwards. So we'll do that now. Work these tires to, till they're ash. It's going to be, 10, 15 laps until we pit. So not too long on that front either. And the race has now been red flagged. I don't know if Alonso is part of this. It looks like it was the Haas and the McLaren for the most part. But it's going to restart. The conditional restart is going to be damp. So we're definitely going to put on inters. But yeah, that definitely, throws a monkey wrench into our plans even more. But we're just going to have to accept that. Looks like no car got yeeted out, so I assume basically just a spin. And then it got stuck on, say, the Haas. Didn't actually get a replay of the situation, unfortunately. We're going to deploy, we're going to push fuel, we're going to do everything that we can now to get the position back. It's going to just be raining for 5 more laps, so we're definitely going to be pushing these until they are dust. Alonso looks like he might be losing out a little bit here in the beginning to De Vries of all people, but hopefully we can make a little bit of a comeback there. For now though, we are going to keep on working, trying to get both cars forwards, and hopefully here Alonso can, have a bit of a comeback. We are getting very close to dry conditions again, and the question is just now, do we gamble on, say, getting Bottas in immediately? He has 6 seconds to Leclerc. Alonso here, I think we let him stay out for 1 more lap and just push fully on. I think we do the same for Bottas, honestly. They do have a little bit to go on here. So we'll push for 1 more lap. Some cars are pitting, as you can see. But, yeah, it should still be fine. We'll just do medium here, most likely, for our drivers. That's going to be the best bet to kind of make up for this. Now, Alonso was not high before the, the pit stops here. But we'll have to see where he ends up once we're done with this. And, again, this is going to be a very crowded pit lane. Alonso is getting held up so much. At least he held up someone else as well. And Verstappen here has actually opted to do another lap before pitting. Most cars on the medium tires here, I think, can actually make it till the end if they stretch them. So we definitely have to play it very aggressively with Alonso to get back up. But we'll try and make the most out of what we have. Energy, fuel, tires. We'll do everything that we can to get him back up onto that second place of the podium. Well, Alonso just had a very bad day. Some gearbox damage. That is the fresh gearbox. It is gone. So we did have an incident as anticipated. Major damage to 4 components. And generally just not a good time. Gasly here, I believe, took him out. I think that is the best way I can describe the situation.
Let's have a look at that. Now this was at turn 1. With not much room to move. It has to be said, that was pretty risky.
I don't know if that counts as a lockup. That looked more like an assassination. So yeah, that is very unfortunate for Alonso. But that basically settles it, I think, for Bottas. It is unfortunate, but it is how racing is. Sometimes it's very punishing. To be fair, though, if we hadn't gotten the new components and this still had happened, well, it wouldn't have happened if we didn't, because he'd be up at the front, most likely. But you can get the idea. For now, though, we'll just finish this. Bottas is running out front, pretty safe here. We are planning to pit him again onto a soft tire, but even then, he should be perfectly alright. We have gotten a virtual safety car here. I'm a bit unsure why. Albon, apparently. Let us see what he did. Spun out. Unfortunate, but it happens. And as you can see, we're currently running second. We're up on the back of Verstappen. Fresh softs on our car. Use mediums on his. And Sainz is definitely also going to have to pit. But we should have no problems here overtaking, Verstappen as soon as this VSC is over and done with. And then we can probably secure a win here. So this should be pretty straightforward. And I think we're going to be seeing an overtake pretty much immediately here. So let's see now if Bottas is just going to send it immediately, or if he's going to wait a lap, use DRS here to help him, which probably is going to make it easier. Again, we have full energy, we have full everything, we have better tire, we can push fuel. Verstappen is probably going to come back at us a little bit here, but at the same time, I don't expect him to stay ahead, although probably would be more clever for us to get the overtake done on the main straight, because that is, well, where we're going to get a double DRS zone. Seems like Bottas just couldn't pull it off, though. That is worrisome. Does pull it off now, which is kind of worrisome, but should still be better. And if we just can get away from Verstappen, that would be neat, but DRS is fairly powerful around this place. So it'll probably be a little bit of a fight, particularly when we're running out of energy like this. So we'll still try, but it's probably going to be a little bit too close. But yeah, we're going away from Verstappen. We'll just speed along here, see if we can, contain this for 3 laps. So yeah, with Bottas win here, that should basically secure the fact that he now should be getting the World Championship. Sainz did get the fastest lap. He had to pit onto a new set of softs, but he still, made it work. Kudos to him. But generally here, this does put us in a bit of an interesting position. And also, that has scored points. So that puts us into an even more secure position in terms of AlphaTauri is probably going to be our next team. So with that said, unfortunately, any fun that we have here with the championship, so to speak, is probably ruined now. Unless, of course, the same thing happens to... what did we actually fail at? Finish position. Did I say both cars top 3, maybe? I guess. But yeah, if you imagine it, we probably are going to have a little bit of an issue here, particularly with the championship fight is over. That is one. And if we want to have it open, we're going to need Bottas to crash. That gearbox is basically done for, so I think we'll be fine though. We'll see. But definitely a lot of damage here on the parts. That is going to be an issue for next year's car in particular. But, well, in terms of getting more research out for the team, not for us. But I think it'll still be fine. We have 3 races to go. What I'm going to do is manufacture the big components like the chassis, the suspension. Well, I say big components. Basically, the longer lasting, longer time to make components rather than anything else. So we'll do that. That should be fine. It is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll just deal with it. Next up, we have Brazil, which is the final sprint of the season. And, we'll just have to deal with that. We're going to deny the tip sponsor obligation here. It helps with morale, but we're going to have to do it again some other times anyways. So let's just deal with it while we can. Research has been completed, and what I'm going to do is just start another research right away. I think we're going to do suspension research here. As you can see, we've only done one project, even if it was with CFD time. So we'll do one more research project into the suspension, and then maybe we'll put the final CFD period into the rear wing. We'll see. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea to boost the team for next season. We're also getting very close here to the cost cap limit, so we'll be getting these warnings, but we'll just have to deal with them. For now, though, the goal is just to get through the Brazilian GP here, the Brazilian sprint without incident. and hopefully without anything really happening. Let's see how it goes. So the sprint here didn't actually go too well. We got stuck in a DRS train. We couldn't get rid of Verstappen, couldn't get rid of Leclerc. They too have new components now. Verstappen actually picked them up at Mexico. Leclerc picked them up here. So we actually couldn't pull away. And that ended up with us getting second and fourth, mainly due to the fact that Bottas did at one point get a gap. Alonso almost got a gap, but both of them locked up, lost a little bit, but managed to get back into it. It did wreck our tires though, but honestly nothing too major. So second and fourth in the sprint. Let's see how we perform in the race itself, which is actually going to have some moderate rain towards the end of it. So this could be a fairly interesting affair. It's going to be lap 35 or so. Again, our, prediction capabilities aren't great, so we could be wrong on that. But we'll set up a strategy that allows us to get to lap 35, maybe 40 to be on the safe side, but at least 35, and then work from there. So as you can see here, the medium tires will not make that doable. And if we have a quick look at what is actually going to be the quickest, the soft tires 3/10 quicker than the mediums, 10 laps advantage. Medium to hard, almost 4/10, basically just 3.5 tenths, a little bit around there, but still 17-18 laps of advantage. So with that in mind, we want to kind of try and avoid the hards if we can. Luckily for us, we do have 2 sets of mediums, which will, interestingly enough, bring us to around lap 40 potentially. So I think the play is extremely simple. We just run double mediums until we get to the rainy period, and worst case scenario, if it gets extended, we just go ahead and switch it up by running the second medium stint aggressive. So that should be our strategy here. Let's see if we have anything interesting happen during the race itself, but I think it's going to be pretty smooth sailing. We're starting second and third. We've had a bit of an incident here pretty early on with Norris and the Williams. Runs into the back of him. Doesn't really have much happen though. Slows Norris down for the most part. But it did create a little bit of a gap here down to Tsunoda, which is going to benefit us in the long run. Currently, we're still working on how did Tsunoda get a penalty for... Tsunoda got a penalty for Lando running into the back of him. That is interesting. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, we're going to be pushing pretty aggressively here like we have been doing for Alonso. The idea is that he needs to just get by. Probably do want to harvest so that once we get by and we have energy. Verstappen is on hard tires, so he's going to stay on these until the rain arrives. We'll have to see if the medium runners can make it work. Show Albon are going to have a little bit of a harder time of it. But yeah, we're definitely going to just keep on doing what we were planning, which is, of course, push, 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 pit onto a new set, and then work from there. If we have a look at when the rain is expected to arrive, it's still lap 35, lap 40, so it's looking good for us right now. For now, though, we're going to keep on getting Alonso further up, and then we'll see where we're at in a few laps time, or rather once we get closer to the pit stop. We've had an incident this time around with Verstappen and Alonso. So Alonso's bad luck continues. Tags him on the rear tire there. Gets some front wing damage. I think the key for now is just keeping him out, but honestly, he did suffer some wheel, or rather tire damage as well. So we're going to run these into the ground. That's going to be the play. And once we pit him, we're just going to switch out that front wing as well. It has minor damage. It's going to slow us down a little bit. We did also eat a penalty for that, which is understandable. But this does, again, throw another, what's it called? Something. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Alonso, but we'll just have to deal with it. We'll push, we'll do the pit stop, then we'll see where we're at once we're out. We've had yet another incident. This time it's not our cars, luckily, but Magnussen and I believe that is Stroll. Bit unfortunate from both of them, but that is what it is. Unfortunately, though, I was hoping that we maybe could get a safety car from that. But, of course, that did not happen. Didn't even get a virtual one. So we're going to get Alonso in here. We're going to replace that front wing. And we are going to be tuning him down to just running aggressively here until we get till the rainy period, which is still around lap 35, maybe lap 37. We'll have to see. But Alonso here, after this pit stop, is going to come out very, very close to the back. 13.4 second stop time there because he also had to serve that penalty. So, yeah, Alonso's season has been slightly ruined. Let's just put it like that. We are pushing fuel more aggressively here because it's going to be raining. So we can actually, get that fuel back during the rainy period. So we're going to keep on pushing until we're about 3 kilograms in the negatives. For now, though, we'll work on getting Alonso back up, and hopefully we can still have a good end to this race. So, unfortunately for us, the rain has already started, and that is negative for a few reasons. Main reason is the fact that we have a ton of extra fuel. But over the last few laps, it has jumped closer here to just lap 32. We were estimating 5 more laps on these tires at the very least, so we were running aggressive. And of course, that is now a little bit, just a little bit useless. But we have a bunch of penalties here for Show, Stroll, Tsunoda. We had a little bit of wheel banging there. There wasn't anything major between the two Astons. But yeah, both of them now has a bit of a penalty. And Alonso is getting held up. Nothing we really can do with that. We are just going to have to, deal with this as we go. Perez is actually pushing super aggressively now and has actually caught up to Bottas a little bit. But that is what it is. We do want to try and push away here. Should have gone deploy a little bit earlier. But if we can get away from Perez and create a little bit of a gap before the rain starts hitting us fully here in about a minute, that would be beneficial. Let's just put it like that. Setting fastest lap 2 before that happens is also great. But yeah, Alonso here is going to have a rough time, no matter how we slice it. It's gonna be rough to get overtakes done during the rain, and there's nothing really much we can do to help him. It is just very unfortunate what happened, and we have Russell and Tsunoda now opting to pit. It should be 24 seconds maximum until it starts to really rain, and in terms of the pit stops here, they are just 22 seconds. So I think the plan here now is to actually get Alonso in early. It's probably going to be other cars coming in too. But I think this is the way that we want to play this, because the rain should go up fairly quick. And he actually has a really, really nice pit stop there, where he doesn't get held up at all. Next up, we're going to get Bottas in, of course. And again, bit of waste that we didn't use the tires fully, but that's just how things are. Alonso in 10th now. Ahead of him, we have 3 cars at least that are on the wrong tire. So, should be able to jump some of them, which would be nice. Now, it is going to be Inters till the end of the race here. So, the question then becomes, do we push? And I think it's still going to be that we push. Honestly. We're going to try and push. We're going to try and make up the time, so to speak, and if the heat gets too high, we might go down to aggressive, might go down to standard. But for now, we'll keep on pushing, and we'll have a look at how the heat actually ends up affecting the car. We might just need to run them on aggressive, which probably should be enough that we can actually survive till the end of the race, so we'll have to see. We might be switching between aggressive and attack, because we don't want to go over 105 degrees. But as you can see, on aggressive, we kind of keep it at 103, 104, maybe 105, so even then, it is a little bit risky. We'll see how we can, what we can do here. Even while running these tires on aggressive, the degradation is higher than running them on attack. And as you can see, yeah, Alonso is not really getting anything done too much. It's kind of a struggle to get forwards. Pitting here is going to suck, but it is going to be what we have to do. If possible, I'd really love to have enough gap hit to Gasly and Norris to get away from them. But even that is going to be a little bit too much to ask for, I think. But we're just going to stay full attack here for a couple more laps. Try and extend that gap. Probably not going to be doable, but it's honestly all that we can do. We are going to have to pit again. The rest of the field have been running a little bit more conservatively, so they will not have to. But we'll have to see, again, as I said, if we can create a bit of a gap. Doesn't really look like that is viable here for Alonso. So we're just going to pit him here. It's going to come out in 11th. It's going to suck massively, but we don't really have any real choice here. For Bottas, we can run him for a couple more laps before so he can get a little bit more on Paris, but he too should be fine with just pitting once here. Let's see exactly where Alonso comes out. Gasly and Norris is probably going to beat him here easily at that, so a bit unfortunate we couldn't get a little bit more time. But with the tire advantage, he might be able to get something done here, and that's what we'll be hoping for. For now, though, we're actually just going to pit Bottas onto a new set of Inters. He's going to come out probably between Paris and Leclerc. But that should be fairly good still. So we'll have to see exactly how that ends up in actuality, he might actually sneak out ahead of Paris here, and that would be lovely. And he did actually pull that off. Alonso has made it to the back of the car in front. We need to go a little bit more aggressive on it. And for Bottas, we should just push. We'll try and get Alonso up, but yeah, this is probably the last nail in the coffin, unfortunately. Bit of an unfortunate here, but Alonso ended up in 7th. That penalty definitely did not help with the wet weather. It's just a bit of unfortunate planning on my side. Didn't really work out. Probably should have just ran him a little bit more secure. He probably would have maybe caught up to sides doing that. But honestly, it's a 10-second gap from our current position. Bottas did well. We'll have to take that with us. But honestly, it's a bit of a disappointing one. And as I said, final nail in the coffin. No chance of catching up anymore for Alonso. And honestly, right now, the main thing he needs to do is just protect his place. But honestly, he is locked in 2nd. We are going to get 1st and 2nd here. I'll kind of speed through the next couple of races unless something major happens. And we'll get prepped for basically getting ready for the team next year, which is most likely going to be AlphaTauri. I'm not going to, seal anything in stone yet. It's 2 races left. Anything could still happen. We could have some weird red flags or some other insane things happening. It wouldn't surprise me. So we'll deal with that once we get there. Now, the side pods have actually failed for both cars. That is a bit of a interesting one, and potentially a bit of an issue. So we'll make one more. That should be it, though, for what we need to make in terms of side pods. We'll gamble on the suspension that we have at the moment being enough as well. And we also have an ATR period starting. That should make life a little bit easier. Now, in terms of research, we have a side pod research here complete. And honestly, what I probably should do is go ahead and start another research project for the side pods, because they were the ones that were somewhat lacking behind. And I think we're going to do that. It's probably going to make the car next year a bit more of a pain to deal with. But I think it's going to be worth it. It's probably what I would want to invest into anyways here. As you can see, the main thing that we're getting is drag reduction, airflow front, airflow middle. And if I really want to maximize, I'd do something like this, most likely. But we're not looking for really maximizing this car. It's someone else's property next year, so we'll just keep it somewhat balanced. But that is what we'll do. And we'll spend what remains of our cost gap here to just do research, and we'll see how far we get with it. We should still have plenty of money to get that done. For now, though, I think we'll just run the balanced setup here. Well, maybe not, because that's going to leave our crew exhausted, so let's not do that. Let's just get things cooled down a little bit first, and then we'll just run balanced setup, because again, someone else is taking over the pit crew next year. We don't need to worry about it. This is still going to leave them tired for both races, so let's just do it like this to be on the safe side, and we'll accept this schedule. So yeah, we have 2 races to go. Las Vegas, we have Abu Dhabi, and the plan is going to be now to just kind of run through them. There's no changes that can happen from our side. Even if Bottas crashes out from both of them, I don't think Alonso can get enough points to overtake him. Well, I actually know that for a fact. Alonso just can't get enough points to overtake him. Bottas has 1. And even if... I do keep on getting this one wrong. And even if Alonso has a couple of bad performances, there's no way that... Verstappen catches up to him. So both of them are locked in. The races result doesn't really matter. So we'll just speed through these races really quick, and we'll see what the results are. Not the greatest result here in Las Vegas. We ended up 2nd and 4th, just barely behind the Red Bulls. Just miscalculated a little bit. We tried the 1-stop here. Didn't really work out for us because I tried to pull away, and in the end I just ruined my tires because it's just straight up impossible with the DRS zones. Unless you're running full attack over an extended period of time with energy, and unfortunately that led us to 2nd and 4th, but still nothing really major there. We'll take it. Doesn't really change anything, so it's all right. Just a pretty unfortunate race. Could have had a better result, but honestly we'll live with it. That is not an issue. Research completed for the underfloor, and we'll just go ahead and start another underfloor research again. I'm not too miffed about how the research ends, but as you can see, this car is going to be pretty impressive next year, I think. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the AI handles this one. A failed railing, a failed underfloor, we'll just go ahead and replace both of them. Shouldn't actually be an issue, and we're not going to be manufacturing any new parts here. We only have one race left, Abu Dhabi in 4 days, so we don't really have time to manufacture new parts anyways. And let's face it, if we have to, we'll just have to emergency manufacture. That should be, you know, perfectly fine though, and should be a good mark. I bit my tongue. Should be a good way to mark the end of, well, the Alfa Romeo streak here. Once again, one race to go, 3 points difference. I believe it is still between our next team. So it looks like it's going to be AlphaTauri. Unsurprisingly, I guess you could say. But that is basically what we kind of expected. We'll go to Abu Dhabi here, get it done, and let's see, unless we have some big incidents. Final race of the season has reached its completion, and once again, it was a very uneventful affair. Bottas wins, Alonso second, 5 seconds between them. I believe this was mainly due to a pit stop error. Alonso does get fastest lap, Red Bull 3-4. Then we have some Ferraris, Alpine here. Unfortunately, the AlphaTauris 16th was the best they could do here, so we are going to be taking charge of AlphaTauri next season. Just how things are going to have to be with the way that we set up this challenge. Bottas is once again our world champion. Alonso comes in second. Then we have Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Stroll, and Show. So pretty nicely balanced here, I guess you could say. Williams, Tsunoda was the one carrying the day there. Lando carried McLaren, which isn't that surprising. They really did Oscar dirty with the ratings. It's just how it be. It's hard to know how good a driver is going to be before they get an F1 car, and F1 Manager just went for, you know, the ratings at the start of the season. So it is what it is. We'll just have to deal with that. But as you can see here, no points for the AlphaTauri boys. Magnussen scored 2 points, Hülkenberg 1. So looks like we probably know what the next couple of teams are going to be. But yeah, decent win here, 946 points. We'll definitely be happy with that. In terms of the pit stop championship here, we had twice the points of Red Bull, so we can definitely say that we did dominate that as well. And not really long pit stops or anything. Actually, Bottas was one with a bit of an error. So Alonso just was slightly slower. I might have misremembered. Oh, no, I think he got held up by someone. I think that was what happened. He ended up pitting on the same lap as 3 others, and they kind of kept him trapped, so to speak. But yeah, that is it for the, well, I was about to say the first season. That is this for the second season here. And we have gotten our first world champion. It's going to be Bottas. I am looking forward to seeing how this team is going to perform next year. They're going to have 100 million in the bank, basically. And, well, that should lead to some interesting results. The car should also be extremely dominant. Because we haven't really done anything negative here in terms of the research. We're going to shut down the safety for 8 days. Shouldn't be an issue. Horner offers congratulations on the championship. We do enjoy that. But yeah, as I said, we have a car that should basically be extremely dominant, particularly if we look into what we're getting for next year. Which, well, not what we're getting, but what the other teams are getting. 7% increase. 7% increase here too. We do, you know, get rid of the losses. Major gains on the rear wing. Decent gains on the sidepod here. Remember, we did put in CFD, so this is probably going to be around 10% by the time the year is done. Not too much on the underfloor, but we are doing a little bit more research there as well. Same for the suspension, a little bit more research. So the car for next year is going to be even better than the car that they currently have. So potentially, I've dug my own grave. We'll see. In terms of what we'll do for the last few researches here, I think we'll just chuck in a front wing. A chassis research. And again, I'm not too miffed about what I'm doing research-wise here. I just want to see how challenging this team would be with, you know, the AI to lead it. Staff changes, there's no staff changes for the team. I make sure that everyone stays. Same here with Bottas and Alonso, but potentially after next season, we could see something very interesting with both of them, you know, potentially leaving. So looking forward to seeing how that works out. Cost cap limit is a bit of a concern there. That's fine. No signs of structural damage on the CFD, so that is good. Development update. Bottas gets a point in reactions, but honestly, nothing really too major. And again here, we're just going to use the balance preset here, because again, the AI is going to be taking over in a month, so let's just leave it to them. Suspension research has been completed here. you know, a tiny one. So I think we're going to do another one. Suspension is important after all. And the main thing here that we're going to need is just to make sure that we get it done within the time period. And we can just barely get that done. So this is definitely going to be the final research, you know, project we do. We estimate to have about 2 million left to our names after this, so looking good. It's been a fairly good season, honestly. I'll have to see what I do for the next part here with Alpha Tauri. We might just compress it, the first season, into, say, 2 parts. But we'll have to see just how well we perform before we do that. Let's go ahead and sponsor this man. I'm feeling generous. And Alessandro Galata gets 100,000 to improve himself. But yeah, as I said, we'll have to see exactly how we do next season in terms of the parts. As I said, might just condense it a little bit more. It's actually been kind of difficult to decide what I should keep from races, what I should cut out. And particularly when we actually had a little bit of an interesting fight here earlier in the... I was about to say season, earlier in the episode, where we actually had a genuine fight between Bottas and Alonso. If you have something interesting like that, I'll probably keep more of it in. If it's less interesting, like the last 2 races here where everything was basically settled, let's say the last 3 races where basically everything was settled, I might just go ahead and kind of skimp over that. The races too were fairly boring, and I've gone a little bit too far ahead here, so we'll go ahead and end this here, and we'll continue next time. Hope you've enjoyed this series. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.